Hello, I've just popped out to the garage to do a little job. It's one that I'd been wanting to do for a little while and I haven't filmed it, but I'll show you what I do. I've tightened all the nuts to the specified torque. Now I believe the torque is 65 to 75. What I did initially was I looked at where the split pin holes are, and I took this chisel and put it in line with the split pin hole and hit it with a hammer. Can you see down there? And you can still see the mark on that one. So that's helped me a lot. You can see it on that one. You see the mark? I just put a mark on the top of the stud. So I took them to 65 and then looked at them and judged how far they needed to go to get to the slot. And if it was like less than a slot, you know, half a slot, I tightened them and then put the split pin in. On a couple, I had just gone past the slot, so I swapped them around until I achieved all of them at 65 or slightly tighter. They all went slightly tighter than 65 and they're now tightened up. And I was able to dig through my old stash of nuts and bolts and things and found some good quality old split pins and put those in. Cutter pins, I think they're also called. I call them split pins, but some people call them cutter pins. So they're all in there. So that's another little job off the list. Okay, when there's something more to show, I'll show it. Hello, welcome to Mart's garage. Here's the bottom end of my engine, and yesterday I came out and did a little job. It's one of them ones where you just come out and do a little job. I didn't film it, but I did do a little bit at the end showing how I marked the studs with a chisel to show where the alignment of the hole. You can see it, possibly see it just there. And I did all the nuts up and put the split pins in. Problem is I did them up to the wrong torque, so I've got to take them all off again and redo the job. Ace. Okay, so those are all to 80 now. 80 to 90 is the spec. And everything turns all right. Right. Now, I've had a bit of trouble in the past where I've put the wrong things in the wrong places, so I'm numbering the cylinders there. That's come out a bit wrong, hasn't it, that one? I'll redo that. What I'll do, I'll flip it over and number them on the other side as well. That's when I get into trouble, when I flip it over. Right, so that was number 7. And I've put it in a place where I can scrape it off easily. Okay, so this is where I go wrong. Where is cylinder number 1 now? I know it's right hand side at the front in it, so this is the right hand side. So that should be cylinder 1. Yeah, it is. So I'm also going to number it here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, it takes 2 minutes to do it, and it can save a lot of aggro. I had to take pistons out and switch them all round, and I got the fronts and the backs mixed up. These pistons haven't got a front and a back, so that's good. Right, I'm just going to squirt some more oil on the throws just to protect them. So these are all done up now to the correct torque, and they've all aligned with the split pin hole, and I've got away with that. That's lucky, because you know, once they don't, you go too tight by the time you get to the next hole. So what I was going to do maybe would have been just go work out how much needed to come off to go to the next hole, and then skim that amount off on the lathe and then put them back on just to see if it worked, but luckily I haven't had to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, so I can keep busy, is I will go and put all the new little end bushes in there. Right, I'll be back in a bit then. I've had a bit of a hold up. I'll take a minute to explain. These are my pistons. They're brand new, old stock. There's the piston pins. Now, these are my rods, and these feel loose. I think there's about 3 thou there when I measured it. So I need to replace these bushes. Now, I hit a bit of a snag. I bought some bushes and had them delivered, and I fitted this one, you know, pressed it out, pressed the old one out, pressed the new one in, and I set it up with a reamer in the lathe, and the reamer grabbed the bush and started turning it. So I thought, oh, okay, there's a problem then. It might be that the reamer is dull, and you know, the loads are higher than they ought to be. So I pressed it out, and I've cleaned everything, you know, with brake cleaner, and then I've refitted it, but with Loctite around it this time. But what I've done, I've ordered a adjustable reamer, thinking that I can kind of ream it like, and take the slightest bit out and then adjust it, and take the slightest bit out and then adjust it and take the slightest bit out until I come up to size. I'm waiting for that reamer to arrive, and then I will ream all the bushes. What I'm going to do as a preparation for that is push all the bushes out and fit all the new bushes with Loctite in preparation. So that's the next job. Right. There are the 8 rods with all the little ends pressed out, the little end bushes pressed out, and there are the bushes with the and I've just washed those with brake cleaner as well. That one in the end is the one that I've already done. So I'm going to go and press these in now. I won't show that because it's quite difficult to set a camera up in where the press is, the little room where the press is. Room, that's a bit of an exaggeration. The shanty, shed. I'll just do them one by one, I think. Oh, and I need my Loctite. You have to line the oil holes. go and press that in. I'm finding that I can do it easier in the vise. I've had a problem with one, and it's kind of popped inside itself, if you know what I mean. Right, hang on then. So which one's that? Number 7. There's number 8. So I'll kind of keep going. I think it might be that there's a... Yeah, that side's got a slight chamfer on it. I think that's what you have to do. You put it in from the chamfered side. I don't mind telling you, this was a right old struggle. I had a problem where I was trying to press the bushes in and the edges were going over each other. A couple went in, but 2 didn't go in. So what I did, I went on the lathe and I made this, and this is, and I used this to push the bushes in. Now it is a tight fit in there. Well, rather, it just about goes in on some of them. On some of them it was a little bit tight. So anyway, I managed to push these in, but because this was a tight fit, not tight, but you know, it didn't allow the ends to cross over each other. So I was able to successfully push all the 8 bushes in, including the 2 that had already tried to cross over. In other words, they went in okay using this. So if I was doing the job again, I would only ever try and use this. And I'll give you that dimension. Hang on just a sec. Well, 0.725. That's 0.725. And this, using this, I was able to press the bushes in. Okay, that wasn't easy. Well, if I'd have had that right tool in the first place, it would have been easy. So take my advice, use the right tool. I'm waiting for an adjustable reamer. When the adjustable reamer comes in, those can be reamed to size, I hope. I hope I don't have the same trouble that I had before, where the bushing turned. But I have used Loctite on all of them now. So I will ream them to size very gently, fit the pistons to the rods and put everything back together. Okay, so that's another job for another day. So thank you very much for joining me in the garage then. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then. Bye. Hello, welcome to Mart's Garage. I've come out to the garage today to carry on actually with the job that I've been doing over the last couple of days, and it's to do with the connecting rods. I've fitted new bushes to the con rods, and I have tried to use a adjustable reamer in the lathe to trim them, and you can see I've took a lot of metal out of them, but it just wasn't working very well and it kept jamming up. Not very impressed with it, to be honest. So I have had to regroup, and I've got a setup on my milling machine now. I've just come out to carry on. I've got 3 rods left to do, so I'll set one up and you can see how I've ended up doing them. Here's one of the rods. I've got a clamp thing here. That's part off some sort of a wheel bearing or something. This is a machinist's jack, so that goes there. I've got a clamping piece here to hold the rod down flat. Got my trusty crescent wrench here, the one I repaired in a previous video. So I'm just going to slacken that and slacken that. So here's the little end bush here, the small end bush. So in my chuck I've got this, and this is just something to help me. It's a tap that happens to have a ground thread on it and a collet that happens to fit it. So I'm going to put that in the chuck. Okay, so here's my spindle with the thing on it, and it's just pulling that kind of in line there. So what I'm going to do is get the machinist jack. I'm going to hold this down here and just put the jack in that gap, which is probably not really in line with the camera, but hey. So there's the jack just supporting it there. Now that isn't good enough, but it's a start. So what I've been doing is tightening that up. So that's like that. And what I do then is just bring that across to it, touch it on, and nip that one up as well. Then bring this one to it, just touch it against it, and tighten that one there. So these are just nipped down. So they're just to kind of support that a little bit that way. And this one is nice and tight on there. And the jack is underneath. And it's just gone loose. So let's just take the slack up with the jack. Okay. I've got this boring head that goes in. Okay. So here's my dial indicator. So that's at the top there. And I'll set that to 0. Okay, now I'll turn it 180 degrees like that. Now that is reading approximately plus 10, about plus 9. So I'll undone the lock and I'll wind the table there. That's about pointing at the 5 now. Well, what I'll do, I'll reset it to 0. Turn it 180. And that's reading minus 10. Okay. Not that way, Mart. So that's on the 5. So let's set it to 0 again. And that's on the 0. So now I'll do it sideways. So that's that one there. So that's plus 10. And that's about minus 10. So I will wind the table over. Not that way, Mart. Again, wrong way. That's reading 0. I'll try it 180 out. And that's just a thou. The thing is, the hole might not actually be round, you see. As long as it's near 0 on all 4, which it is, that's close enough. Okay, this can come off. So this is now centered on that. So I will adjust this to my starting setting, which is 5 thou this side of 0. So I'm going to set that 5 thou. It just happens to be 5 thou under the 0 setting on the. So I'll come up with the table a bit. Put the power on. I'll just do a run down through to it is touching just. Okay. But the people that aren't familiar with it, this is a boring head, it's not a drill. So the fact that the shaft is wobbling about is okay, because what you move it like that, you see. I'm going to move it across this way a little bit, and there's the cutting piece there. Okay, I can see that that's taken a cut actually. So here it is. I'll turn this around a little bit so maybe you can see it. I'll slacken that, and here's where I can see. Look, can you see this dial? I'm going to turn that round now. It's on 5 below 0. That's on the 0 now. Then you lock it there. So that's locked. Start her up again. So this is 5 thou a side now. This will be 10 thou bigger than it was. And I'll let it do a spring pass on the way back. And I can see, although I can't see many at the moment, it's not taking much of a cut there. Okay. What I'll do now, I'll come to 5 thou past 0 the other way. 5 thou over. So that's there. Because I've already done 5 of these, so I know these numbers are okay. And I'll do a spring pass on the way back. That's nice and shiny in there now. I don't know if you can see it. And I'll try and take a measurement. That's actually reading 16, and the 0 is 0.750. So it's 9 thou under 0.750. Anybody that reads a micrometer will know what I'm talking about. Now the thing is, you can't just wind this out 4 thou, because you can't trust it to take exactly that cut. So I am going to wind it out, but I'm not going to dare go that far. Purely because, like I say, I've done 5 of these, and it isn't 100% reliable on how much it takes out. Let's go to the sort of 7.5 mark like that. And even then I might be pushing it. Okay. Now I'm going to be brave and send it through again on the same setting. I don't have a power feed on this quill. Okay. Now that's as big as I dare go. Let's just, I was going to blow it then, let's just. What you possibly don't realise yet, I'm not going to try and finish this to a finished bore, I'm going to ream it. But I want to minimise the amount that I take with the reamer. These are called a snap gauge or a bore gauge. And you rock it in the bore like that and it gets pushed into the diameter of the bore. Then you can measure it like that. Yeah, that's actually reading on 18 now, so alright, okay, I'm not going to risk going any bigger. Put this spring-loaded centre thing in it. Okay, I'm going to get my reamer. This reamer came from that set that I bought ages ago. You know, a big old-fashioned second-hand set. Okay, I've got to wind the table down a long way, so I might have to reposition the camera. Okay, just putting my finger up the end to see, kind of get a judgment of how far up it is. I'm going to squirt some oil on. Not sure if that's... Now you can't swing a tap wrench here because of that, so I'm going to have to use this. I'm going to... But I'm going to use my hand to support the reamer. And slowly, bit by bit, it works its way through. Then I loosen the lock and just bring that down there. I just brought that down there. You can do like 2/3 of a turn. No, not 2/3, 3/4 of a turn. Once it gets in a bit further, I'll take it out and finish it off in the vise. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well Mark, why don't you just ream it from standard, you know, ream it from scratch? Well, I tried that, and the problem is that the reamer, the load on the reamer was so high, the bush came loose and started turning. So what I've had to do is I've Loctited all these bushes in. And that's why I wanted to use the adjustable reamer in the lathe and sort of sneak up on it, but it was useless. It was absolutely useless. And even then, a bush came loose a second time. It either came loose a second time or it was one where I didn't actually Loctite it in. I thought I'd Loctited them all in, but I might have missed one. But I have done that one by this method. That is quite a heavy torque that I'm putting on there to turn it, but on one of them I went bigger with the boring tool, and it took quite... I could feel that it was trying to take a big cut on the way back through, so I stopped it and stopped the machine and just brought it through. And when I reamed it, it left a tiny bit at the other end that it didn't ream, so if I'd have bought it, if I'd have bought it all the way back through, it would have gone oversize. It's better if you can use a tap wrench because you apply the load equally. But to be honest, with this, that's just above the end now. With this, you can't really pull it off centre because the rod just goes with the reamer, it just twists. It is quite hard work, you know, it gets quite strenuous. It's probably because the reamer is very old, and probably, you know, a new one that's nice and sharp would probably cut better. Okay, that's gone beyond the end now. So to make it easier for me, I'm going to set this up in the vise and do it with a big tap wrench. So I'm going to go over there and do it on there. Here's the reamer and the conrod. You can see it bending, look, see. Making me go out of breath, this is. Let's try squirting a bit of oil down there. Actually, because of all the clothes I've got on, my arms are a bit restricted. It looks like that bush has tried to turn, I'm not sure. I'm going to take this out, if I can. I'm trying to pull it out, but I'm struggling, to be honest. And I was told you shouldn't turn a reamer backwards. I think I might have to use the lathe to turn it. I'm going to go and... yeah, that's definitely turning, that bush is. Hopeless, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to knock this reamer out. I'm going to go against my rules and turn it backwards. It's hot, that is. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but can you see that the bush has partially rotated? Covered up the oil holes. That's hopeless, isn't it? It's not going very well. Look, it's all getting very hot. I think this reamer is not sharp enough and it's just rubbing, so it's making everything very hot. The bush has moved, which isn't good, and I've managed to get it kind of about to there both ways, but I'm going to let it cool down. So while it's doing that, I might as well start boring the next one. But I'm going to try and go as big as I can on the next one. And I might press this bush out, re-Loctite it in, and try and maybe bore this one out more as well. But the problem is, because this has got so little to go now, my problem would be trying to get it centered up accurately enough. There's a slim chance I might have another 3/4 inch reamer, but what I'm doing isn't working. I think I left too much to take out. Okay, I'll bring you back when I can show you that I've made some progress. Hello, I'm part way through a job. I've cleaned all the threads on the conrod bolts. I've cleaned all the threads in the nuts with tacks and dies and things. I've sized all the little end bushes there, and the pistons are ready to go. So I've done 4. You can probably just see them right in the edge of the screen there. I've put 4 pistons on. There's no front and back on these pistons, so I'm hoping that I should be able to put them on quite simply. These are a good fit. I'm going to lean that way because this one hasn't got that one hasn't got the clip on it. There's 2 clips in that one. I think this is one that I've saved from another piston. It's going to have to do. There's no front and back on these pistons. There we go. There's 8 pistons and rods then ready to go. Eight pistons and rods ready to go. Okay. Jolly good. Right. Another little step in the right direction then. Okay. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Go in and warm up now.